Welcome into the ArmChair GM podcast. He's Chris, I'm Dylan, and today we have some news about Walker Duehr, some drama in Edmonton, and a trade target that's been linked to the Flames.
Welcome to the ArmChair GM podcast. Well, Dylan, the Calgary Flames' worst nightmare has come to fruition. Walker Duehr has been claimed on waivers by San Jose.
Holy crap.
What are we going to do?
I can't believe that.
Hit
What
the
a
panic
travesty.
button.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I like the kid a lot. He hasn't produced much. He just, unfortunately, not even quite worthy of being on the fourth line, right?
That's
He
just
played
it.
16 games this year. So
Yeah. And I don't again, I don't mind him. I don't mind him being on the fourth line. I don't think he was the reason that line was underwater the past little while. I mean, he obviously contributed to it, but
mm,
yeah,
yeah.
I just think he's been kind of passed on the depth chart over the past few years, whether it be by Coronado and Zeri and probably even Klapka and Stromgren and maybe even Hanzek. Like it's just he outgrew his need on the team, if you know what I mean.
Well, exactly. When he came in the 22-23 season and was fitting in quite well on that fourth line role and playing, it was with Milan Lucic, wasn't it? Where he kind of rejuvenated his excitement as well. Came in, 11 points in 27 games, which is respectable for any fourth line player. But since then, he's had 8 points in 56 games.
Yeah,
He just hasn't been the impact that he needed to be to stay in the lineup, and so it's just the end result. That's just how it is.
yeah, and I remember a couple years ago when he first came onto the Flames, got signed, and his first few games there, he actually showed a lot of underrated offensive potential, where he was kind of dangling and deking around players and walking in and scoring and while still throwing the hits and all that type of stuff. And he just hasn't quite been able to carry the puck for the past couple years. And that's kind of why he was in the minors all year last year, I think, or at least the vast majority of last year, and barely played very well at all this year. So
Yeah, he played 40 games last year for the Flames, so he was down for at least half the season.
yeah,
But you're right, like that first year, that 22-23 season, he showed some signs of developing into a power forward, and he skated hard to the net, and he actually held the puck with some pretty decent control. He drove the net really hard and was physical and was exciting to watch. And then it just all went to shit. It just none of that was happening last year and this year, especially this year. Like this year, he's been up with the Flames for quite a bit and watching a lot of games from the press box. So
yeah. And when he's been playing, like I've noticed a couple games where he was, how many games did you say he played this year?
this year, 16.
Yes, and I've only noticed like 2, 3, maybe 4 games where he's played hard on the forecheck and used his physicality. It sucks that he's
Mhm.
gone because he's one of the only right shot players that was on the squad. We need a few of those. But
Yeah,
what's the point in having a right shot if he's not shooting or scoring or
exactly.
contributing at all? Yeah.
Yeah, and with Karen's coming up and having some great chemistry with Peltier and when he passed him like in half of first period of the first game that Cairns played, he passed Walker Duehr in the depth charts for the Flames immediately.
16 seconds into his first shift.
Yeah. Like, it was just, there was clear chemistry there. And, obviously management, coaches, fans, it was an easy decision in my opinion.
Yeah, me too. And I'm not surprised that he got, that somebody was willing to give him a shot.
Yeah.
There's
He has
a few
potential.
teams out there. Yeah, there's a few teams out there that have nothing to lose and have some cap space and um, see that he might have something if he's given a little bit more of a chance. Who knows? But kind of surprised it was the Sharks. What about you?
Yeah, it seems like a weird move by them. I mean, they're floundering this rebuild that they're undergoing, in my opinion, greatly. Even if that's what you even want to call it. Like, it's very weird what they're doing, and they can't get out of the basement. It reminds me of the 2010 Oilers.
A little bit, yeah, but I think that they've done a better job of. They have more high quality assets that aren't just number one overall picks. Like that they haven't
Sure.
tanked. They got that number one overall pick. Celebrini looks like an absolute stud, but they've also got some high upside kids. Fabian Zetterlund, Will Smith, William Eklund, even
Yeah.
Kovalenko to some point. Um, Colin Graff they signed as a college free agent who was the top college free agent at the time. Um, and Jake Wallman I think is a underrated guy that they got. They actually I believe the Red Wings paid for them to take him, which is a joke because he's really good. And then they've got
Yeah.
Coronado's buddy Henry Thrun. Um, plus, they've got some good players in the system coming up that I'm not looking at right now, but I don't think they're bad. The only thing I can say is when it comes to Walker Duehr, like their fourth line right now is Carl Grundstrom. I don't think you're scratching him for Duehr unless he's been completely bad. Ty
Yeah.
Dandarella and Barclay Goudreau. And as far, I don't see why you wouldn't scratch Ty Dandarella. He's pretty much nothing. And Barclay Goudreau is kind of, I don't think he's a bad hockey player. He's just overpaid.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? Like, yeah, I agree. He's not a bad hockey player, and in a certain role, he can fit. Like, he just agitates and mucks it up, and that sort of thing, which is fine. I like that type of player, but I don't see how he would fit in a rebuilding team personally. But
No, me neither. I mean, he was on that team, that Tampa team that won. He was on Coleman's line, actually. He played with Coleman for,
yeah,
I think it was both cups. And that was just a hell of a line. I can't remember who was the other one on that line right now, but it
it's
was a force.
yeah, it would have been a tough line for sure, right? Tough line to play against.
Yeah. But I don't see why. I, no, I guess give Duehr a chance. Why not? Right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't really see why not. Might as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I could envision him playing for Buffalo way more than I can envision him playing for the Sharks. Buffalo needs, like, they're in that mindset. The age is right. I don't think they have a lot of toughness.
Yeah.
So I think not that Duehr's super tough, but he plays a good physical game. So I think
Yeah.
he would be beneficial to a club like that. But I mean, it is what it is. Congratulations to the Sharks for picking up with a good kid, and I hope it works out well for him.
Yeah, I was listening to the radio earlier, and one of the guys on Flamestock there was saying, it's good that other teams are picking up players off of the Flame scrap heap because it means that we've got something now. And the fact that
Yeah.
so many of our players have passed him in the depth chart means that the Flames are a lot deeper. And that's
Yeah.
okay with me.
Yep. Yeah.
It's
It's
not like
exactly, it's a positive sign.
yeah, it's not like we lost a player who's you know, got a ton of upside. Like I don't think he's got a ton of upside. I think he's a NHL player, but I don't think he's ever going to be much more than a fourth liner. So, hey,
Yeah. It wasn't losing Paul Byron.
no. And you know what? I actually quite liked Paul Byron, but again,
100%. I did too.
what was he? He wasn't even much more than a third liner either. Right? So like he had a couple of
He
good
was,
years, but his good years weren't like crazy or anything like that. He was just a third liner.
yeah. I mean, I feel like he had a lot more to give to the Flames.
Byron, yeah.
I mean,
He was more consistent with his energy brought to the team.
yeah,
He was,
yeah,
as Hartley would say, the Energizer Bunny.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, it was just kind of it was unfortunate timing for sure for him. And I mean, just he was a fairly small player, so he didn't really fit into the West mantra at the time, and
Yeah,
all that fun stuff. But I mean, it is what it is. I only
yeah.
brought him up because he's kind of one of those players that everybody complains that we lost to waivers. And I don't feel like people are going to be saying the same thing about Walker Duehr in the
I,
future.
you know how I feel about Juuso Välimäki. How I don't really care much. It sucks that we lost him, but like, what is he? Whatever.
Mhm.
I care more about him than I care about Walker Duehr,
Wow.
and I don't even care about Välimäki at all. So
This is groundbreaking.
yeah. Um, let's talk about that fucking drama from Edmonton. McDavid, one game against the Minnesota Wild, he gets his elbow up and chicken wings the shit out of Marcus Johansson, goes uncalled, no punishment, no nothing, blatantly obvious chicken wing.
Yeah.
Not the first time he's done anything like that. And not that we like to talk too much about McDavid, but this is fucking funny. Um, and then the next game, he goes out and Connor Garland, I think there was like 10 seconds left in the period, and they were in the Oilers' offensive zone, and the Oilers were down by one, and Connor Garland basically just like lays on top of McDavid and holds him down. And yes, Oilers fans, yes, that is a penalty. It absolutely should have been an interference or a hold or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not a good excuse to cross check someone in the back of the fucking head. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So McDavid gets a 3-game suspension. Um,
I mean,
and
I'll
then
I'll I'll defend McDavid a little bit on this because I mean, look who he cross-checked. I can't stand Garland. If there's any player that deserves a cross-check in the back of the helmet, it may be him. I don't wish that on people generally, but can't stand the guy. It
yeah,
was
but at
a
this
it was a snake piece of shit move that he did, but the cross-check you can't do. Like there's
no, it was
it's not allowed in today's game. So knock it off.
a terrible reactionary thing that he did that he shouldn't have done, and
Yeah.
he got that 3-game suspension the next day, which I think is warranted, especially after all of the shit he's done to guys like Koki and Emmy, and he pretty much ended Letty's career, and there's a couple other examples. But what
Yeah.
really cracks me up here is that the Oilers released a statement saying the Oilers organization is disappointed, and we share in our fans' frustration over the 3-game suspension of our captain Connor McDavid. We support him through this process, and the organization and our fans look forward to having him in the lineup versus Seattle next week. And then
I
there
mean,
was a report. I don't know if it's true or not, but there was a report later in the day that said McDavid and his representation have decided that they are going to do less media tours and stuff like that because of how disappointed they are in how the league protects its star players. And like, can't even get through that without laughing. You're fucking over there laughing your fucking ass off. The
I
entire
mean,
hockey world is like, what the fuck is this? What kind of organization goes out there and says that when their player lost his shit and fucking tried to decapitate someone? Like,
you look at his history. I mean, how many times with that fucking elbow in center ice has he done that?
yeah,
I'm going to
Kotkaniemi,
say
right?
eight, eight, 8 times I've seen it.
Yeah.
So there has to be more because there's games that I haven't seen. He does
Yeah.
it all the fucking time. He's never been called for it. He's never been penalized for it. No, that's not true. I think he may have paid a $5,000 fine
I
once.
think the Kotkaniemi one was a $5,000 fine. I think.
Yeah.
Which is
okay,
like
so he got
fucking
he got the pocket change fine. That's fine. So he's a repeat offender in that move right there. So doing this egregious stick to the helmet, any other repeat offender would be looking at 5+ games.
Yeah.
It'd be an in-person hearing.
Somebody who's had suspensions before. I think McDavid has had one game suspension in the past. I think.
Has he?
I believe
I'd have to look into his history there, but I mean, like any other player that does that dirty shit like he does would have been reprimanded through that process, right? But he just gets away with it on the ice because of who he is. And so now he just comes out and he does his little statement like he's a fucking 5-year-old on the floor kicking his feet up in the air in a tantrum. If they were going to suspend me, I'm not going to do their media stuff. Get fucked.
And like, honestly, this isn't just like, Flames fans shits on McDavid. I mean, it is, but it also
kind of is that.
Because because first of all, I don't know if that report is true or if that's coming from him. I saw an interview with him later, I think from today, where he said he understands, where the league is coming from and all that type of stuff. But that's what the guy says.
That's code for he was pulled into the back room and said, "Shut your fucking mouth, do your time, and shut it. Like, relax." Yeah. And he's like, "You know what? I'm going to take this time to reflect on me as a person."
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, he said he'd rather be playing the games because what's he gonna do? Go to Cabo? I'm like, well, fuck, why not? You got the money.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? I mean, shit. He can go wherever he wants.
I'll go to Cabo. Fuck.
He's got like 5 days off. It's like, whatever. He's out the money, so who cares, right? Go enjoy your time. Go buy yourself another piece of rope for belt and go have the time of your life in Mexico or wherever.
Don't want to spend too much time on it. I just find it hilarious that the organization goes out and says that. And like, honestly, again, not just Flames fan screaming at the clouds, but like, come on, you're the most boring man on fucking earth. Nobody really wants to hear you talk in the first place except for Bettman. And honestly, the league should be marketing the guys who are entertaining.
David Andrew
on the ice. Market him on the ice. He's not entertaining off the ice. Never put a microphone in his face ever again because he's boring as fuck.
Yeah. Is it David Andrews on Sportsnet? Does the intermission show?
Wouldn't that be his name wrong? Prince Bay?
No. On Sportsnet, not Oilers broadcast.
Oh.
Like main Sportsnet. Like he does the in between for like Flames as well, right?
Okay.
But even when the Oilers aren't playing, that's all he can talk about is McDavid.
Oh yeah.
He would be devastated if McDavid didn't do more media. He might lose his mind. he would probably quit.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Moving on. It's just so fucking ridiculous. I think everybody and their grandmother thinks that's hilarious and just a pathetic attempt to back up your star player or whatever. Like, I wonder if McDavid read that statement from the Oilers and just fucking rolled his eyes. Like, I can't believe they did this.
Yeah. I hope he did.
Yeah.
If he's any sort of a if he has any pride whatsoever,
Yeah.
I would hope that he did.
Yeah. Anyways, in the spirit of not talking too much about the Oilers on this podcast, because I know other podcasts out there talk way too much about them. Let's recap a couple games, because since last time we did a show, the Flames have played the Blues once, the second half of that back to back, which was a really, really hard one to watch. And then the Winnipeg Jets on Hockey Day in Canmore, which was a fun one. So let's start with the Blues game. Obviously, they were just coming off that loss to St. Louis in St. Louis, 2-1, and then 2 days later they went back in and had a very similar looking effort.
It might have been worse.
It was worse.
It was like you know, because if you remember our last show there, Dylan, you were talking about how you were, you know, obviously the schedule being weird where you play in St. Louis, day off, play again in St. Louis. It's a very strange thing in the schedule. But you commented, and it made sense at the time that, you know, that yes, it's 2 road games, but you don't have to travel. You know, so I mean, by all accounts, they should have been way more refreshed than what they started out that second game in. Like I was irritated with how they started the first of that back to back scenario, but that second game was terrible.
Oh, it
They
was just
couldn't have
brutal, man.
like it wasn't worth watching, and I kind of want to send a letter of complaint to the Flames and tell them I want my time and money back for that game. Like that, it just wasn't worth watching anything. That was just fucking terrible.
Oh, it was really bad, man. Luckily, we haven't had too many of those efforts this year. I think this squad generally gets up for games. Sometimes they have a bad period or whatever, but generally they get up and they're fairly competitive. I
Yeah.
think the culture is good, and they've bounced back very well from the odd bad effort. They think they've had two game stretches that have been bad this year. Unfortunately, one was this 2 games in 3 days in St. Louis, and the other one was Backlund's 1,000th game in Utah
Right.
last month or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So
I
how
mean,
about Colton
the
Parayko?
Blues have had a.
Parayko
Oh yeah.
run roughshod on. Like, he's scored not many goals this season, and he's a defensive defenseman. He scored 10 goals this season, and he's got 3 goals in 3 games against us.
Yeah.
Including
Yeah. He likes playing the Flames.
Apparently. Well, he's from St. Albert, so
This all makes sense.
yeah. But he's, again, like, you shouldn't be letting Colton Parayko score on you once. Never mind. Like, it's not like he's Jordan Kyrou or something where you're kind of like, okay, no, him getting 3 goals in 3 games against you kind of makes sense. It's a guy who, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not looking at his career stats right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hasn't had many seasons where he's had more than 10 goals.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that the Flames have always, not always, but I mean, for a good 8-10 years, we've struggled against the Blues for whatever reason. They're kind of like our new San Jose Sharks, and like they get beat up, pushed around, bullied, and cannot walk out of there with wins.
Yeah.
It's super frustrating. I don't know what the answer is there. I mean, I think we just need to bring in some bigger guys for those games and just start hitting them,
Walker Duehr.
punish them, right?
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Damn it.
Klapka.
Well,
Think bring up Klapka for those games. Maybe a Kuznetsov or someone.
yeah, I would take Klapka because I mean he's a guy with integrity. He protects teammates. I mean, he's not exactly.
He's not a fighter.
I mean, he's not a fighter. I mean, he's given it a shot. He didn't go well. That's fine. Um, but he's at least willing to throw the body around, and I think that's where we start lacking when it comes to the Blues. Is we just let them dictate the pace and the physicality of the game.
We need intimidating guys with an intimidating frame, like Mark Jankowski or something.
You know what? That might be the answer.
Fucking.
God, I hope Jay Feaster isn't helping Craig out these days because, well, it clearly isn't, or else Mark would be on the squad now.
Well, Kyle Dubas is doing a fire sale in Pittsburgh, so I assume that includes Mark Jankowski. Should we go after him? I mean, we need centers.
I mean, yeah, and we have so
I'm
many
kidding.
third line centers, though. Yeah, I know. But we have a lot of third line centers, so I don't know how he fits into this roster. Yeah. Nah, you know what? That's a now for me, dog.
That's a hard pass. Hard pass.
It's a hard pass. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you played Pick 6 from DraftKings yet? What are you waiting for? You better get in on it. The playoffs are here and time is running out. As the official daily fantasy sports partner of the NFL, DraftKings does fantasy sports like no one else. Play for better payouts on Pick 6. It's super easy to get started. Select 2 or more players. Choose if they'll have more or less of any stat, like touchdown, yardage, sacks, and more. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. The DraftKings is making it even sweeter for first-timers. New Pick 6 customers pay $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Win more cash on Pick 6. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code THPN. That's code THPN. For new customers to pay $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Only at DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
I mean, that game against St. Louis, I've already forgotten about it. I put it out of my brain because, 2 days later, I think Wolf stood on his fucking head against Winnipeg.
So one of his not trademarks, but one of his qualities that he's kind of had throughout his career, whether it be in the WHL or the AHL, is that when he has a bad effort, he bounces back the next game and is lights out. And that's kind of what he did against the Jets. Hockey Day in Canmore, which was a big success from what I gather. I just want to before we get into the actual game itself, I want to give a lot of props to Sportsnet. Like, obviously their broadcasts have been shit this year, but I want to give some props to them for doing that, for the NHL in general, for doing the Hockey Day in Canada thing every year, where they go to a different small town. Not that Canmore's that small, but a different small town, and have alumni from different teams go and speak and have media presence, go speak at schools and stuff like that. My sister lives in Canmore, and her kids go to school there, and a bunch of the Flames alumni such as Jay Bomeister, Lanny McDonald, Harvey the Hound was there. There was a couple others. Colin Patterson went to both of their schools and spoke. And neither of my sister's kids are super into hockey, but they both laughed. It left an impact, a lasting impact on them, and they were like super
Yes.
pumped to call me and tell me how it went and all that type of stuff. And I think they went to the alumni game and started to get a little bit of interest in the game, which is great. And also
That's
there
sweet.
was some Jennifer Botterill was there, I think, and there was a couple of other women. Both of my sister's kids are girls, so they were pretty
Yes.
pretty impressed with the women playing as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what it's all about, right? That's what you want to hear. You know, it was their 25th
I think so, yeah.
annual celebration, which is great. They put on a really good show for that. They really have for over the years. It's been really neat to watch. I've yet to attend, but everything I've seen broadcast has been pretty cool.
Yeah. And the broadcast from there was really good.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. You know, they likely have at least 2 more fans in the future.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
cool.
And my sister's husband's a Canucks fan, so boo. But I've always bought them Flame stuff just to piss him off. and
I
now
knew
they
there was
actually know the
something
torch.
about her I didn't like. Couldn't remember. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew there was something about her I just didn't like.
Yeah.
Now I know. Now I
Yeah,
know. That's fine.
No,
Everybody makes at least one shitty decision in their life, right?
yeah.
You know, I've got an ex-wife. She's a Vancouver Canucks fan. Like
Yeah. Hers was not
you've
murdering me.
you've got like
when
a
I
dozen.
was a
You've got like
child.
a dozen of those things going on in your life. So I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah. So on to the game.
Okay.
Yeah, the Flames roll in to Winnipeg. It seemed pretty cold, as it would be in Winnipeg, and win the game 3-1. Matt Coronado has been absolutely awesome for the Flames over the past few weeks. He's been probably the best forward on the team when it comes to offense, and he's no slouch when it comes to defense and forechecking and digging in and all that type of stuff. He's been absolutely fantastic to watch. He scores his 11th. And we have an Andrei Kuzmenko sighting. He rips a power play goal, and it was actually quite a nice shot. Go figure.
Good for him.
Take a couple shots on net, and you'll score. He just doesn't seem to want to take any shots.
You know what?
Sorry.
I find it's really the only way to score goals, and he's a natural shooter and can be very effective at it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hopefully it sticks and it sparks something in him and he gets his game going. I mean, at the very least, we need him to up his stock before the deadline if we're not going to sign him.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, Andrei Kuzmenko was a healthy scratch, and Cairns was in the minors, and we have a power play goal, which we never get, from Andrei Kuzmenko, assisted by Cairns.
Yep.
That's and Coleman, who was very good that game, anyways. But Cairns has 4 points in 4 games. He's been impressing, as far as I'm concerned. I think he's proven over the past 4 games that he belongs. Hopefully he keeps it up. Points or no points, he's added another dynamic when it comes to the behind the net play. I find that we haven't really had much this year, which is weird because Kuzmenko did that last year.
Especially on the power play.
Yeah. But yeah, he's added a kind of behind the net dynamic. He's kind of jump started Peltier a little bit, and hopefully he's also jump started Kuzmenko, because he needed that, and it's all coming from this kid, Rory Cairns, who hasn't even played a preseason game with the Flames.
Yeah, Cairns he looks like he belongs, right? which is, and he started, obviously it was, very early on with that pass to Peltier, and he's been a bright light in my opinion on what could have been kind of a dark time with Zari going down, and who knows what's going to happen, right?
especially with the lack of
But
offense and then Zari going down. It was a little scary.
yeah, for sure. So it's refreshing to see a kid come up and put in the effort and actually look like he belongs in the NHL. It was great.
Yeah. And Ryan Huska has actually said, because Cairns has been playing the wing, I believe he will be playing center against who are we playing next year? Buffalo on
Yeah.
Thursday night. I from what I gathered, they're thinking about scratching Kevin Rooney, which the fan base has been crying for. I don't really get it. It's he's a fourth line center. I don't think
Yeah.
the fourth line play isn't just one person's problem. It's been all three of them. But hey, you know what? Sure, give Karen's a chance at his natural position, and
Yeah.
hopefully get another center in the NHL level center in the system, and that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, I like Kevin Rooney as a player, as a person. I think he's great to have on the team. But
Yeah,
this is a time where we're trying to see what we got in the minors, and see what we need to improve on for the draft. So
yeah,
sorry, Kevin, you got to watch a few games. Let's see what the kid can do.
yeah.
And
And
you know
honestly,
what? He's also a professional, and he gets it. It's not going to affect what he does anyways. But
exactly, and like Kevin Rooney is on most teams, he's a 13th, 14th forward. Anyways, he's just a guy
yeah,
who's there in case of injury, basically. Um, I think if we were fully healthy, like if Mantha was still playing or whatever, I don't think, and Zeri was still playing, I don't think he would be playing anyways, right? So it is what it is. He's probably played more games than he was expecting to this year, anyways. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, then
that's fair.
Blake Coleman scored into an empty net as well. Um, kind of like a weird little spinning thing from the defensive zone. It was actually a pretty nice bank
Yeah,
wheel shot.
that's right. I was I was looking at Rooney's stats. Sorry to bring it back there. I know you've moved on, but
Oh yeah,
he's already played more games than he did last year, right? He had that injury last year, obviously, but I think it only affected maybe a quarter of his season, or not even.
yeah,
I can't remember. Anyways, yeah, he's already played 37 games this year, so that's just kind of a telling sign of of a system that doesn't want to bring players up and put them on the fourth line, which, in my opinion, I think is a mistake. I think you got to start somewhere. I do understand the concept of giving them more ice time for the Wranglers in the minor system. I do get it, but I think getting them into the NHL if they're ready is key. Even if they're only playing 6, 7, 8 minutes a night, let's get them in there. Let's get them in the environment. Let's get them used to playing against that level of competition. But
I think it depends for me on which player. Like Adam Klapka,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Jacob Pelche, yeah. Um, Rory Cairns, I'm happy that he was able to pop onto the into the middle six right away.
Yeah,
Um, and now they're trying him at fourth line center, which I'm okay with. I wouldn't have really
yeah,
been super pumped if they had just brought him up to put him on the fourth line and play with Lomberg and Duehr, because those guys aren't getting very many minutes, and it wouldn't really give him a fair chance or super skilled players to show what he's got. So he's showing what he's
mhm,
got, and now he's going to play fourth line minutes at center to see if he's got something else, which I'm totally fine.
exactly. Yeah, 100%. Let's see if he can take draws against the elite, right?
Yeah. But if
Well,
like
not that
Sam
not that
Honzek came
Buffalo
up,
has elite centers, but
or like let's say when Coronado came up, if he was on the fourth line, like I probably would have been a little frustrated, or even Zari, like guys with high offensive ceilings, I don't really want to see just brought up to play 7 minutes on the fourth line and be underwater the
yeah.
whole game. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would have been okay putting Coronado there for a few games when he came back up, just based upon his play leading to being sent down, right? Because he didn't look good, and then something clicked when he was, down in the A. And when he came up, his compete level, his effort, it all just escalated, and he just forced them to put him in the third, fourth, or third, second, scenario, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, in that situation, I would have been okay with Coronado going there just based on what we had witnessed so far this year. Obviously, I know his ceiling is higher, but I think at that point he needed to prove himself.
Yeah.
But he did that immediately when he came back up. So I wasn't stressed out about where he was.
Yeah, me neither.
Hmm.
But he also wasn't. Was he put right back on the fourth line when he was brought up? Coronado?
You know what? I believe he was, because he didn't join. He didn't join up with Backlund until maybe a week later.
I'm pretty sure he
Is
was
he?
brought up and scratched the first game because of this. There was a scheduling thing between the Wranglers
Could
and
be. Yeah.
the Flames, and then he was brought up and scratched. And I can't remember. I think he was brought in and started playing fourth line, and then he was promoted because he was looking good right away.
Yeah.
But
I think
either
that's
way,
exactly what happened.
when a young guy with high offensive upside is first brought up, when they're first brought up, I
Mhm.
want I don't want them to be buried on the fourth line and given not very much opportunity to prove. If it's their second,
Yeah.
third, fourth, fifth call up or whatever, I kind of get that, but depending on the player.
Yeah. Fair.
Um, but that was a great game, and like you said, Wolf absolutely stood on his head. Um, I think Dustin Wolf is the goalie of our future. I'm not ready to say he's the next Kiprusoff. I've seen lots of nonsense about him getting hurt votes or whatever. I think that's just biased Flames fans,
Yeah.
which is just fine. Support your players. I'm obviously fully supporting Wolf. I just think it's ridiculous to say that a goalie that's played just over half of the games is a hurt candidate. Maybe
Mhm.
if he plays, 80% of the games for the rest of the way and continues the way he is, then we can have that conversation. I do think he's in the rookie of the year conversation, though. I do think that he's should be a top 2 or 3 candidate for that. I think right
Yeah.
now his odds
Probably
are,
two,
are
three,
fourth,
three, maybe. Yeah. Exactly.
because
Yeah.
Lane Hudson
Yeah.
is
I
really
agree.
impressing. Macklin Celebrini really impressing, and Matvey Michkov has had a slow month, but before
Mhm.
that he was absolutely electric. So
Yeah. 100%.
I'd
So
like I'd like to see I'd like to see Wolf get some votes for that, and I think he can. But I think that pretty much any rookie, especially a rookie goalie who's not playing the vast majority of the games until halfway through the season, it's pretty hard to
Mhm.
say that you know that guy's getting hard votes over some of the guys who are on pace for 125 130 points or
Yeah.
or whatever, or like
Yeah.
Kirill
Hard is
Kaprizov,
not.
whose
That's
team
not
is
his.
completely floundering without him, and you know that type of
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah. Hard is ridiculous in that conversation, in my opinion, but
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, support your players,
So
but
exactly.
be realistic about it. Well, let's move on and talk about some trade rumors. There haven't been a whole lot lately because I think Conroy has been shutting down a lot of phone calls because of how competitive the team has been, which I'm pretty sure has surprised him and has surprised, it's a pleasant surprise for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I would like to talk about Dylan Cozens because the one position the Flames are missing the most is a right shot center. The Flames are targeting under 23-ish year old players who have term left. He's had one 30-goal season, given that was the year that Buffalo just went off in general and
Yeah.
seemed like they were the next big thing. And then they've had a couple of bad years since then, and so is he. But I think he's got it inside of him. I think
Mhm.
I think he's a good player. I'm not sure if he's ever going to be that number one center we need, or anything like that. But I do think that he would be a good fit for the Flames, given we're not selling the entire farm for him, which I don't think you'd
Yeah.
have to. But I do think that I think he'd be a good fit. I just don't see what they'd want that we have because they're looking for help now. And they'd be wanting a center, and the only center I can see that we have that they want would almost for sure exercise that no move clause that Brad Treliving stupidly gave him.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, it'd be wishful thinking, right? We could easily um, look at retaining it. What we're allowed to in that deal, but I think their contracts even almost expire like the same year, right? Yeah, 29-30, 29-30.
Talking about
I mean,
Kadri,
yeah,
Kadri and Cousins, yeah. And I just can't see
and then
Kadri waving for a team that's a shit show like that because he's expressed the desire to win and he's on a team that's in a wild card spot and is on the upswing and looks to have some good culture for the first time in a few years, and it just doesn't seem like he'd want to up and move to a place where
yeah,
the team is floundering and super up and down and the culture is rocky at best
yeah, culture's been bad for a long time
in
in
Buffalo. Yeah,
Buffalo. Yeah,
it has.
yeah, yeah.
I'll always
Fucking,
remember when Jack Eichel was shat on for sitting in the locker room after yet another loss by himself, and there was cameras on him and he was just sitting there angry, yelling by himself,
yeah,
and he was shat on for that, and I was like, what is going on here? Don't Isn't that what you want? You want a guy who's fed up with losing all the time? Like,
yeah,
and that was kind of the start of the end for Eichel there. And everyone was like, "Oh, you can't win with a guy who's going to sit and sulk in the locker room." And then turns out that he's, you know, one of the top two players on a Stanley Cup winning team like 2 years after they trade him.
yeah, yeah. That's always been the thing, right? I mean, obviously, all players want to win, but I want players that hate to fucking lose.
Yeah,
That to me is more important.
yeah,
When you lose, it stings. You're mad about it. You try to make improvements so you don't have to do it again.
yeah,
It's that simple. Those are the types of players that I want on my team.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the culture in Buffalo has been a disaster for many years.
I agree, and I kind of feel like Cousins would be the type of guy who could come to a team like Calgary, play,
Flourish.
maybe not play on a line with, but play on a bench with guys like Coleman and and Anderson and Uyghur and some of the other guys who really want to win and are absolutely, good culture
Mhm.
leaders and all that type of stuff. And I
Well, yeah,
feel
exactly. And you build that attitude even with guys like Lomberg and Peltier, just guys that play with a smile and they give it all they have on the ice and they really, they're a joy to be around, right?
yeah, yeah,
You want to be around players that are having fun, even if the game isn't going according to plan, they still find a way to have fun and just make it just a better place to be.
yeah. I'm just not sure if I'm seeing the fit when it comes to um us having the pieces that they would want
Yeah.
for Cousins. Um and I know our buddy Matt hates Frank Saravalli with every fucking bone in his body, but that's something Frank said the other day on the radio as well. Like, just really hard to see where the fit is when it comes to the pieces going back to Buffalo.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and honestly, besides Kadri, I don't know what else they would want that we have, because they don't want our picks or prospects. They want players to come in and help them now. And
Yeah.
who is that we have that would be worth Cousins?
Yeah. Like, do you do Kadri, Anderson, and a piece for Cousins? I
But
don't think I do the three.
well, no, I think if you're doing Anderson, I think it would have to be Anderson for Cousins.
Yeah.
But the thing is Buffalo has Rasmus Dahlin, um, Bowen Byram, Owen Power, like
Yeah.
Michael Samuelson, like they've got the blue liners. They don't need Rasmus Anderson
That's true.
unless they've
But maybe,
moved out one of
but,
those
but
guys.
maybe they need a stellar veteran with
I think
character.
they do. So I think the only way that we would be able to move Rasmus Anderson for a guy like Cousins is if they've already gone out and moved one of their defensemen for a center to replace uh Cousins, and then
Right.
they move out Cousins and replace him, the defenseman that they had traded for the center, with Rasmus Anderson
All right.
or somebody like that. And I don't particularly
Howard?
want to get rid of Rasmus Anderson.
No.
I would be
No, I don't
happy
either.
with a good package for him. I'd be happy with Cousins for him. Um, I would also be happy to keep him because I think, again, good culture guy. He's not super old, as long as you're not signing him to 8 years, or
Mhm.
can keep if you do sign him 8 years, at least keep the cap lower. But you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
you if you're trading Anderson, you're not only looking for a good right shot D, which we have a few of in the minors, but you're also looking for that guy that hates to lose. You're looking at that guy, you know, who's been in Calgary for a while, who seems like he wants to stay. Conroy said that he's not trading him this year, that unless the team absolutely tanks and starts really sucking, and Anderson says that he doesn't want to be here, but
Yeah.
that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So
No, it doesn't. So I've got the solutions. You got Owen Powers, Dylan Cozens for Anderson and Kadri, 50% retained.
on Kadri,
Yeah,
both.
just Kadri.
Yeah. Again, that I would do,
Yeah.
or even that with Byram or something instead of Power. But I would do something like that, given Kadri waves that no move, but I just don't see him doing it.
Yeah.
That kind of move gets Buffalo what they need, which is leadership and older, and it gets us what we want, which is younger and and higher upside, right? So, but I
Yeah,
just
like obviously, I would much rather pay Dylan Cozens $7 million till 2030 than I would Nazem Kadri
yeah. Well,
for obvious reasons.
I'm not gonna talk too much about my feelings on Kadri, but anyways,
Yeah, that's pretty much the only rumor that's been circling for a little bit. Does it make sense? I mean, I would love it if they can find a way, but I also something like that also concerns me with who would be leaving or potentially, right? I mean, a situation where Zari is now injured and can they trade him when he's injured? Yeah, likely not going to happen. So, I mean, there's a bit of reprieve on that, if you will, right? So, because I think he's the type of player that a Buffalo might target, even though he's not really center. Right? I mean, he is, but he isn't.
I don't. I mean, obviously, I'm biased because I'm a huge fan of him, but
Yeah.
I don't see the purpose in trading a possible top 6 center like like Zari or a guy like Coronado. Like, I don't see the purpose in trading any of our young guys who are already up in the NHL, really, other than like maybe a Peltier or something,
Mhm.
in that deal, because he's already like those guys are already Cousins' age, and maybe they don't have the 30 goal upside, but they've also, or sorry, they haven't scored 30 goals yet, but they have that upside, right? Like, I'm not ready to ship
Yeah.
what's sure to be Zari plus away for him. I'm ready to ship veterans away, and you know what? I'm even willing to give up one of the late first round picks, because what are you looking out at? No, what do you want out of your late first round pick? The
Yeah.
chances of it
Well,
being better than Dylan Cozens,
yeah,
not
likely
very.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, like, I feel like there's a chance. Now, I don't know this for sure because I'm sure, obviously Cousins has really good upside, but I feel like they kind of did a Mangiapane move where he had his record year, so they signed the big contract, and then it just didn't pan out after that,
yeah,
right? Like he gets his 31 goals, and in 31 goals with only 68 points, right? So that's he's not one of the players that's helping out his team per se, other than just getting goals. But after that, 18 goals. This year, he's on pace for 18 goals.
yeah. And for me,
Which
like, he's a perfectly serviceable and young with upside
Mhm.
right shot center.
Yeah.
Might be slightly overpaid, but also I think your second line centers are going to be 7 million anyways, coming up soon. And I, I see where you're coming from too. Like, that is an expensive deal, and
It is
they
an
paid it
expensive
to
deal.
him after one good season. But also, all teams think that they can fix a player that's going through a rough patch or something like that. I
Yeah.
think I do think that strong leadership and that type of thing is what a guy like Cousins needs. Um,
Yeah.
Good role models who, and like Cousins is also playing a lot of the defensive minutes because Tage Thompson's playing all of the offensive minutes, right? So,
Mhm.
given giving Cousins more of the offensive zone starts here in Calgary, and leaving the defensive stuff to Backlund or whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
I feel like there's juice to be squeezed, and I feel like underperforming guys in Buffalo leave and thrive in other places. Look at Sam Reinhart, look at Jack Eichel, different situation obviously, but you know,
Mhm. Yeah, I think when it comes to Dylan Cozens, he just simply needs a change of environment.
yep. I mean,
You
so
know,
does everybody else in Buffalo, but we won't talk about that.
no, but I mean, if there's other right shot centers in Buffalo, which I don't believe there is, right?
Yeah.
So
No. Well,
Cozens the guy. So he needs a change.
yeah. I think we just need to make sure we give him a shout, that Conroy gives him a shout. I know he played in Lethbridge in the Lethbridge Hurricanes, I think, in his junior years, so he should know that there's no palm trees around Alberta, but we should just make sure that he knows that, because um,
Make sure he's aware.
according to his general manager, the problem with hockey is that there's not palm trees in all of the places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's from the Yukon, right? So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he'll be okay
He
with
should
no
be.
palm trees. Yeah.
You'd think so.
I mean, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy I'd like to see the Flames go after. I just don't see the fit with when it comes to him actually being, or sorry, when it comes to the uh pieces going back to Buffalo. Sorry,
Mm.
lost my train of thought.
Yeah. No, I agree on the pieces going back. And if they're able to make it work and he comes up and plays, you know, like the player that he probably will be at center, then I think, in my opinion, Zari becomes a winger and they play together. You know, or Zari becomes, you know, they can kind of switch off on the you know, the 1-2 tandem, right? As far as
They
lineup go, and
they can do what Lindholm and Monahan did for a while there, where there was always two centers on the line that could take the face-offs, right?
yeah, I don't mind that. I
Not
think
that
something
Barry's
like
any
that
good at
more.
face-offs.
No, exactly. I think that's something you do more with somebody like Sharon Govich and guys like that they're not centers in the NHL, but they can do draws
Yeah,
and you know if they're doing, I don't know, like 3 a night, then so be it, right?
I agree.
Mm.
Um, I think that is probably good for today. Um, make sure you like and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Check out Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that type of stuff. Make sure you download and comment on our videos on YouTube and stuff like that as well. And check out um, Rocky Mountain Maniacs on on Facebook and on Spotify as well. They're the band that plays the intro song.
Yeah. And if you're wanting to help out Dylan and I, we're trying to see if we can make a difference with downloads through the audio format. Places like Apple and Spotify, iHeart, that sort of thing. If you go into those platforms, give us a follow there if you aren't already. Doesn't mean you have to listen to anything while you're there, but just give us a follow. But download a couple of episodes for us and see what you think of it, just so we can see if we can build up some numbers in that platform as well.
Would really appreciate that. Make sure you follow Chris on Twitter at armchairgm_pod. Follow us on Reddit and Facebook as well. Armchair GM podcast, and yeah, Cheers. Go Flames, go. Hopefully there's some
Go
more exciting
Flames,
news to
go.
talk about next week. Cheers.
100%. Cheers.